Alright everyone, welcome back, and today we're tackling one of the biggest ranking videos I've ever done. I'm going to be ranking every single boss in ARK from easiest to hardest, but with a twist. I will only be talking about alpha difficulty. That's right, the most brutal version of each fight, and some of these get absolutely impossible, especially as a solo player. So if you do skip ahead and see that the Alpha King Titan isn't top 2, well, the Mega Mech, in my opinion at least, makes that fight a lot easier. But remember, this is just my personal ranking, of course. If you completely disagree with everything I say, let me know in the comments. I'd love to, of course, see how your guys' list compares. And of course, if you do enjoy this sort of deep dive into ARK, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let's get straight into it. Starting things off with a boss that feels more like a mid-game distraction than an actual end-game threat, the Manticore. Even on Alpha, this thing just doesn't hit very hard. It flies around half the time doing nothing, spawns a couple of death worms and golems, and then lands long enough to let you absolutely eviscerate it. Sure, the torpor can be annoying, it might knock out a Rex or two depending on what difficulty of the game you are playing, but unless you're going in with only a Dodo army, this is a glorified practice fight in my opinion. Now, next up is the Megapithecus, ARK's big monkey, and a big letdown in my opinion. Look, as the island's first 3 guardians, it is iconic, I get it, but in terms of challenge, it's really just not there. The bridge gimmick is cool until you realize you can just kinda hug the side and be totally fine, and while the rock throws do hit hard, they are so infrequent that you should be fine. But of course, definitely bring a decent army. This boss is still harder than the Manticore, but it's basically free element, at least from my perspective. The Desert Titan comes in next, a flying whale boss that sounds terrifying, but in practice it's kind of the opposite. It floats around slowly, zaps you now and then, but that is about it. And the lightning can dismount you if you are unlucky, but it can be quite easy to evade. But of course, if you do die to that, it is quite rage-inducing. Honestly, I've literally seen armies of RGs killing this thing, so that's kind of an idea of how more easier this boss is. But at 14, we do have, now I could be saying this very wrong, the motor boss. The underwater horror that's more of a logistical pain than a difficult fight. Now, while she is quite dangerous, it's more that underwater fights are just more annoying. Getting 20 decent marine tames like Moses or Tusos all bred up and even mutated can be quite the challenge, but if you do bring a strong pack, it can be over quite quickly. That being said though, as far as Genesis Part 1 is concerned, I think the motor boss was one of the highlights for me. But at number 13, the Forest Titan lands in. And yeah, we're getting into some slightly trickier territory now. This one can grab you off your tame, root your creatures, and deal some pretty solid damage if you do just stand in front of it and do nothing. But here's the thing, it is a world boss. No arena rules, just make sure you don't wander too far away from it, as if it walks back to the center it will heal a bunch. But if you bring Gigas or Karchers, and once you know how to dodge its vine attacks, it becomes an easier boss fight, at least in the grand scheme of things. Coming at number 12, which may surprise some of you, but in my opinion is the Ice Titan, and it is quite a decent jump in difficulty, at least for me. It's fast, it has brutal attacks, and its ice breath, projectile, and spikes will freeze or chunk your tames if you are not careful. I have a lot of respect for this Titan. It doesn't give you time to breathe, and if you are underprepared, it will wipe you. Still, the usual counter applies with these world bosses: bring Gigas, Karchers, and you're golden. But you do need to play smart, of course, especially in this fight. Coming in at number 11 is the Dinopithecus King, and well, it's quite chaotic. This boss throws everything at you, literally. Monkeys riding Amargasauruses, cinema crops, flinging poop from the sky, and of course the king himself and all the threats that he brings. It's fast paced, unpredictable, and it will catch solo players off guard real quick. If you don't have crowd control and of course some good DPS, your army gets torn apart before you can even reach him. Not the hardest, but definitely underrated in my opinion. At number 10 we have Rockwell Prime. This fight stands out because it makes you, the player, do a lot of the work. Instead of riding Rexes and roaring buffs, you are in the thick of it this time, running around on foot, dodging projectiles, fighting through phases, and using an exomech to disable corrupted nodes. Mechanically, it's more involved than almost any other boss. Once you do know the phases though, it's repeatable. You get better every time you try, and it's beatable with solid prep. In at number 9, which a lot of you might be surprised at, is the Crystal Wyvern Queen. This is what I would call a deceptively tricky boss fight. She flies, breeds elemental damage, spawns crystal wyverns in waves, and worst of all, she moves a lot. You will end up constantly repositioning your tames and getting attacked from above. You could bring flyers, but if you do this, I do have to warn you that this thing will barely land at all. If your army isn't fast or mobile, she will wear you down before you can finish her off. Now here is the controversial one, but at number 8 we have the Alpha King Titan, and let me specify that, Alpha. And look, I get it, it's the final boss of Extinction, it looks insane, but once you do have the Mega Mech, it's a whole different story. Whilst the fight does become predictable, repeatable, and quite easy, with the Mega Mech, it is a really epic end to Extinction, but the hard part is getting there, grinding corrupted hearts, beating all 3 mini titans, and preparing all your Giga Tames. That's the real challenge. The fight itself though, spectacular, yes, difficult, not really. And at number 7 we have the Broodmother, and to be honest, she earns it. This is one of those fights where brute force only gets you so far. On Alpha, she absolutely shreds. She's got strong health, solid damage, and spawns waves of spiders that will slow your tames down. Now, my advice is that you do bring Megatheriums or even Spinos for that amazing water bonus. And you should be fine, but don't underestimate her, as she will turn your army into absolute soup. Overseer makes the top 6, and for good reason. You've got to run the tech cave just to get to him, one of the most punishing gauntlets in the game. Then when the fight starts, he cycles through all 3 island guardians while drones and defense units shoot at you. Honestly, the fight, it's long, exhausting, and very difficult for solo players, but it's also very rewarding. One of my best memories was completing the tech cave and the subsequent Overseer, and it was incredible. Now we are on to the serious business, with Fenrir at number 5. This guy doesn't play around, he can dismount you, he can one-shot you, and the area is filled with his icy minions that swarm, slow, and overwhelm. He's got aerial damage, ranged spikes, and a snow wolf attack that's basically a death sentence if you are caught off guard, and this is one of those fights where everything has to go right, or you are back to square one, and honestly as the last boss that was added to ARK Survival Evolved, it is quite the beast. I was very happy to see the sheer difficulty of this fight. Now at number 4 we do have Rockwell. With Cactus Broth it can be quite easy, but without, Rockwell becomes an entirely different beast. The Reapers will ignore your dinos and beeline straight for you. You can't hide, you can't rely on brute force, it's you, a shotgun, and your dodging skills, and Rock Drake invisibility will only get you so far as it does drain its stamina. If you don't know the cheese strats for this boss fight, this fight becomes almost impossible solo. It's a stamina check, a time check, and a skill check, all rolled into one. At number 3 we have the Dragon, and yes, it is still one of the hardest bosses in ARK. Why? Well, that fire breath, offering a % base damage to all your tames. It doesn't matter if your Rex has 100,000 health, hit him a few times and he's toast. You've got lava to deal with, dimorphs flying in your face that can actually hurt the rider and subsequently your character, and a boss that refuses to land when you need him to. It's pure chaos, and that is why I love it. Now at number 2 we have the King Titan again. Specifically though, Gamma and Beta is in my opinion the second hardest boss in the game. Why? Well, you don't have any Mega Mech. You're literally just fighting Godzilla with just your Titans, Gigas, and what else you can throw at him. The corrupted Giga waves as well can be brutal, and oh my god, the healing in this fight can be absolutely infuriating. And to top it off, in single player, the Titan AI is quite a mess. Managing all of your army is a nightmare, and this fight is just a pain, and it's one of the toughest boss fights I've had in PvE. But finally, the hardest boss in ARK, at least in my opinion, is the corrupted Master Controller, although I believe we all feel this way. This fight is an absolute solo nightmare. You're on foot for most of it, dodging Gigas, Reapers, corrupted dinos while collecting code keys under constant pressure. There's no hiding behind Rexes here, it is all on you. Your movement, your aim, your timing, one misstep, and I truly mean that, one misstep, and it's all over. It's the ultimate test of skill, awareness, and stamina, and for that reason it sits proudly at the number 1 spot on my hardest boss ranking. So there you have it, every ARK boss ranked from easiest to hardest. Did I get it right, or am I completely off the mark here? Let me know in the comments, and while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe for more ARK content. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you of course in the next one. Take care.